we're live.
Hey,
So,
buddy.
what are we, episode 2 again?
Two.
For the third
Well,
time.
I mean, if we make it another half, then maybe we're up to episode 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't get much from the last one. Um,
No.
yeah. Because
But
I
anyway,
didn't have fiber optics, which I'm now hopefully getting shortly, so
it's pretty awesome.
yeah.
It's like kind of serendipitous.
Yeah, well, knowing my luck, we'll just end up having to move when it's ready to go in. Actually, no, it's coming together well because I got a 2-year internet plan, but it finishes like in a month or two, so I can renew
Oh,
with hopefully with the fiber optic. So
yeah.
that
No,
should
that'll
make
be
it all
awesome.
better. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
what have you been up
someone's
to?
listening. Well, today, I was working, and my mum had to put down one of her dogs.
Oh,
Uh,
why?
So that wasn't very fun for her. Oh, it was like really old,
Oh,
and
okay.
she literally, it was terrible. Like, she literally did an operation for it to get one of its eyes removed because it was like
Oh,
damaged.
jeez, yeah,
'Cause it was having some problem with its tear ducts,
yeah.
and the tear ducts were crusting around its eyes.
Gross, yeah.
And like, well, the gunk was crusting around, so she constantly had to wipe it. I mean, it's a really old dog. It's like
Yeah.
13 or something.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And oh, actually, no, sorry.
It
Yeah,
was
no,
new.
but
It
probably,
was a
probably,
year old.
probably, no, probably 13 to 15. But anyway,
Okay, yeah.
so that was happening. Eventually, one of the eyes failed, and she had to get it removed because it was getting infected.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Did that operation, paid all the money for it, literally a month ago.
Oh, jeez.
And then a couple weeks ago, the dog, its prostate enlarged,
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
and so it couldn't go to the toilet.
Yeah.
It couldn't, like, either way, it couldn't pee or poop. It like
Yeah, right.
just
So its body was just shutting down.
yeah, and it was just like, so she had to give it laxatives, and she had to give it painkillers,
Yeah.
and it was like limping along for a week, and then today it just stopped eating or drinking.
Right. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's pretty much the sign.
Yeah, so she was like, okay, it's time.
Yeah.
And even I tried to feed it or give it food, give it
Right.
water today, and it was like, no. It just like kept turning its head.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. It's had enough.
your volume is down.
Oh. Can you hear me better
Oh, no.
now? Oh.
I can hear you now.
I was probably
Maybe
just
the-
mumbling.
Is it voice activated?
Yeah, it should be. I think I was just mumbling a little far away.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Yeah. So that was sad. So then we took her out to dinner, make her feel a bit better. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was good.
That was today?
Yeah, that was like literally 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Just-
Just put it down.
Right. Right. Oh, that sucks. That's I mean, it's good long life for a dog, especially in Darwin. So,
But on the other half of it, we got a new car. So
oh,
that was cool. Yeah.
okay. Why? How? Legally?
Well, I mean, how?
So many in the car park at Coles, Chris. Just.
Well, I mean, I've been photographing my neighbour for years, and filing the face off. No,
Uh,
the old car, the Mazda.
yeah.
It basically, it's 2012. It's not that old, but it had its first major service,
Yeah.
and it came back with there's
Prostate
a leak in
issues. And,
the there's a leak in the power steering. There's a
Right.
leak in one of the gaskets in the engine.
yeah.
But they're not serious, so you don't have to worry about them yet.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, sell it now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and even so, it was like $1,200 because it was like all the brakes had to get changed.
Oh, yeah.
the air filter had to get changed, the oil filter. You know, it was like a major service.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they found those leaks, and I was like, no more.
Yeah.
New
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
So we
bit
bought
rough.
So the fun story part of it is last year. It has to be last year. Holden announced that they're quitting Australia.
That's fun. Yeah.
Well, not for them, but they announced they're quitting Australia because first couple of years ago, GM said we're shutting down the production of Holdens
Yeah.
in Australia
Right.
because the government refused to fund it anymore.
Right.
So the government's like, we're not giving you subsidies. So then GM's like, well, we're not building your cars.
Yeah.
And so then it became uneconomical
Yeah.
for them to build right-hand drive cars
Okay.
because it's a left-hand drive, like the company is American, so it's
Right.
left-hand drive.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it no longer.
So that right-hand drive market was basically Australia.
Pretty much, yeah. So they're like, we're moving out of that.
Yeah.
See you later. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. So, just gonna add some filler in here. Holden is an
No, it's all
Australian
right.
car. And we hate them. No.
I had to turn the power on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, once GM announced they were closing, they were like basically shipping cars here from overseas.
Okay.
And so then they were like, well, that's not going to be very useful. So they said, we're pulling out of Australia. We're we're going to cancel Holden, basically.
Right.
So that was last year.
Yeah.
And then there was this big hoo-ha in the paper. Oh, we're going to be shutting down. Like, there's going to be massive discounts, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we went straight there, and then all of a sudden it was like, we realized it was just an advertising campaign. It was like,
Right.
the guy's like, well, you know, we're rare now. Like, the cars are going to be rare. It's like only a few, and everyone wants them. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. I'll give
So
you
we
half
left.
price.
Yeah, exactly. So we left. But do you remember Kerry's Holden? Like, it was on the corner.
Yeah, the
as you
name's
drove
familiar.
out of town. Yeah.
Right,
So-
like on the way out on whatever
Out
that
of town,
road
yeah.
is. Yeah.
Stewart Highway.
Stewart Highway. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like on the way out.
Right.
So,
trying to
do you
remember.
remember?
I'm vaguely.
It's like over that. It's like as you're going down the hill and then through the lights and then up and then you go round and then this Kerry's Holden. It's like the big
Right. Yep.
Anyway, yeah, they were the ones selling the Holdens, obviously, and I would pick up Angie every day and drive past it. So we'd always count how many of these Holdens were left as we're driving past.
No, selling like
It's
hotcakes, right?
Yeah, it stayed pretty constant, and they kept bringing in. This is like obviously a stockyard somewhere in Australia.
Yeah.
And whichever dealerships were selling them, they'd just top them up until they were all done.
Yeah.
So, about a month ago, they had this big sale, balloons, like, everyone please come and have a look.
Yeah.
And a few went, and then it got down to maybe like 6 or 7, and then it was like 5, and then 4, and then once it got down to 4, we went on that weekend.
Right.
Which was last weekend, like on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we went in, talking to them. As we were talking to the guy, 3 of them sold.
Jeez.
As we're talking to the guy, and it's a Holden Arcadia. So it's like this big 7-seater SUV. right?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, like this enormous like truck,
Yeah.
basically, like a big troop carrier.
Yeah.
And so we sat down, we were talking to him. We weren't just going to home, we were going to all the car yards because we were seriously looking for a car.
Sure. Yeah.
And we got to talking to him. He's like, put down a number, and so we put down a number that was like ridiculous, and he went to his boss, and he's like, "Oh, congratulations, you bought the car." And we're like, "Woohoo!"
Nice. Wait, so you've got so you got yourself the new car then on Saturday.
Yeah, but then we just picked it up today.
Oh,
So because they had to put the tinting on it, they had to register it.
they had to lower it. Yeah. Put on the LED strips. Yeah.
The little spinny wheels, the little spinny rims.
With the hologram. Yeah. Yeah.
Big mud flaps. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you guys get like the heated seats? But then I remember like what the climate's like.
Yeah. They come
got-
already heated.
It's got a built-in ice tray. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm still working it out. Like, I've only driven it a couple of times, but one of the weirdest things in this car, it has a haptic seat. So, as you're reversing,
Yeah.
so it's got a reverse camera,
Yeah.
and as you're reversing, as you start getting closer to things, your seat starts vibrating.
Jeez. Why?
It's really weird, man. It's like it starts going like it's the weirdest thing that like someone invented that.
Yeah, because like having both a camera and playing a sound is not enough. You also need your ass to shake.
Yeah, and it's literally a vibration. It's like a rumble pack in your seat.
That's so weird. Does it help? Is it more like intuitive now?
I mean, I've only had it one day. It's
right.
more surprising.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, are we reversing, looking in the camera, going, "Oh, I got a bit of room," and then the seat will go.
Is it soothing? Like, will you back close to things now and just wait for a while?
Yeah, it's pretty unusual. So
Yeah, that's random.
I'm not sure if I like that bit, but
I've never heard of
see it whether
doing that.
No, I've never heard of it ever. So I'll report back later to see whether it actually is good.
Has it got power? Like when you put your foot down, you feel it?
Yeah, it's a V6.
Ah, okay.
Like a 3.6 liter V6 or something.
Okay, that's big.
It's got a 20 exhaust, and it's like a big 7-seater SUV. Like think of a giant SUV.
Yeah, those kind of cars are very popular here. Like that.
Oh, they're so popular here. Like,
Really?
and like I told you, Angie had a car accident last year.
Yeah, it was like a intense kind of one, right?
Yeah, she was the passenger.
Yeah.
And
oh, that's
driver
right.
was,
Yeah. I remember that
like
one now.
underneath the ute.
Yeah.
So that kind of is what started the search for a giant car. I was
Yes.
like, we're not going underneath the car again.
No, you're the
We will
mounting
go over the top of other cars.
So you got the extra huge suspension with the fat wheels on it now. Yeah.
Basically a monster car.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Okay. But
that was cool.
Those things are like tanks to drive though. Like they fill up a spot, like a car spot and all that.
Oh yeah. So far, I'm still getting used to parking. I've only parked it like 3 times.
Right. Does it have that auto parking thing where you just press a button and it?
Nah, we got like the lowest model, like right above not having the car. It's like you don't have the car, and then you have this one.
It's not the Flintstones model, but it's it's the one up from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the main thing was that we had a big car and that we could like afford it. So
Yeah, nice.
it ticked both
Oh, good.
because yeah, it was pretty good. So anyway, that was
Yeah,
my day.
that's cool.
How about yourself?
Um, I have been teaching teenagers how to date each other. Yeah, so that's been my thing.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I because I was like getting all these, I was getting these stories coming through about how the teenagers are like they're all boyfriend girlfriend stuff, and that there's like problems that arise and so on. And I'm going like, the way I used to date was way different from how people date now. I think you're getting a bit of feedback through your mic, dude. Yeah.
Nothing on this end.
Oh, I
I
can
didn't.
hear you on my end coming back through. Weird.
I'm not even making a noise.
Okay. All right, never mind. Anyway, so yeah, yeah.
La 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 la.
Um, so
Yes.
like I'd say we had dating rituals in the past. Here is a flower, thus you understand my
Yeah.
intentions. And like I'm saying, well, what are they doing these days? Because clearly not that. And so it's all about like how they're using online to connect with one another.
Yeah.
And so it starts off with like cyber stalking them, trying to link up to all of their different accounts so that you can be friends with them on all these different platforms that they're using. Making sure you don't do things like deep liking, where you're scrolling through 2 years of their history and pressing a like on one of their buttons. Um, and then that there's this thing called FOMO, fear of missing out,
Yeah.
where you end up with like just so many people in your messages, like they call them the DMs, your direct messages, that
Yeah.
when people are on dates, they're like, I message my date, how are you, or whatever, or like the person I'm with, how are you, but they don't message back straight away. But the other person that I'm messaging, they always message back straight away, and so on. And so you end up like thinking, oh, the other option is possibly better. But because it's so easy to
Yeah. Yeah.
reach such a wide audience now, it's not just like your friends in your high school or whatever, or your immediate vicinity. It's just like everyone that's connected online.
Yeah.
You end up with this problem of people having difficulty committing, or constantly jumping from one to the other, or they're like they're dating one while they're trying to secure or test out the grounds of others, that kind of thing. And so it's just yeah, like this mayhem of continual options.
Wow.
Um,
So it's like the bomb phenomenon.
yeah, basically. Yeah, you can make yourself much more accessible to a wider audience. And it's easy to ask too. It's just like send a text. Hey, how's it going? You don't have to face this stuff anymore.
It's so creepy.
But you do end up with that issue, and so then there's like I had to go through things like sexting and the laws around that, because like Australia obviously went through that thing with
Yeah.
high school people sending each other nudes, and
Yeah.
it just like, you're in jail, buddy. Um,
Yeah.
And here not only do you go to jail, they give you like caning or whipping. So that's
No.
like 15-year sentence plus 6 strokes of the cane. Like, jeez.
Wow.
And
For
I think it's
the
like some,
BDSM fans,
huh?
for the BDSM fans, that's
Yeah, that's
good
right.
news.
Harder.
Don't think it's punished enough.
I'll be back for the next next sentence. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm doing this with high school kids, so I'm having to keep it reasonably, informative rather than
Yeah.
like whatnot. But like, when you think about it, what sort of parents of teenagers these days are clued up enough on how all that stuff works to actually be able to pass on kind of relationship advice like that?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like most of
It's
them.
complete divide.
Yeah, most of them just give them a phone or whatever so they can get rid of the kid for a while. They have no idea what's happening
Yeah.
on there. Um,
It's actually interesting because it's very similar to when you went from the formal sort of almost, it's almost the biggest change as when you went from arranged marriages to to choosing someone to date.
love marriages, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. It's almost as big as a step as that.
Yeah,
Like
well,
in
yeah,
terms of
it's definitely completely changed the mode of interaction. Um, but but the problem that you still have is that there is continuously um, like the issues of the heart are still involved. So people are still getting hurt. People are still,
yeah,
heartbreaking, and cheating still feels like cheating and all that sort of gear.
yeah,
It's just like the ability to do it now is super simple.
yeah. But
Um,
I was just thinking more like it's the way the parents relate to it is very
oh,
similar. Like,
okay.
like you, like the parents that had their marriage arranged
Yeah.
are going to the kids that were like, "But I love him, Daddy." It's like it's that sort of thing. Like going to the next bit where it's like, "Oh, but I love them, and we are currently in the fourth stage of texting." And,
Yeah.
it's like you're just like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like there's no,
Yeah. There's
yeah.
no understanding of where they are or where the mentality is.
Mm.
Like, I do get the odd ones that they're clued in to what the kids are doing. They've got ways of dealing with it. Um, but most have no idea what's going on. Which,
Yeah,
yes, that's difficult for them, but also a kid growing up needs a bit of advice.
yeah,
And like, the advice that they're getting, I think, is mostly through online media and what they're watching and is easily accessible. Basically, I'm talking about porn. That is
yeah,
not realistic in any way to how people should interact with one another.
yeah, exactly.
And so, like, yeah, I just wonder um, what relationships are going to form into after that, especially with like the waking up of like gender fluidity and all that questioning, which is becoming super. I don't know. Popular is not the right word. I think just understood or expressed.
Yeah,
Um,
it is becoming popular as well though, because you're getting this like
yeah.
this tail of people that are just trying to join the club. It's like there's the I was listening to the radio last week or something, and they were talking about people that are transitioning back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like how it's becoming a bit more common because it's like they thought they were a male, but actually they're not a male. And
Yeah.
then it's like, but I've already taken the hormones, so now I've got a beard,
Uh,
and
yeah.
it's like you're kind of like in this halfway stage, and it's kind of a bit late for either. And
That's
yeah, so
yeah.
which is
That's messed up.
yeah, but it's why you can't like let kids decide
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what gender they want to be. It's like
Yeah.
it's so important that they make an informed decision when their brain is forming. Like once it's formed,
Yeah.
okay, you know who you are. You've got a fairly good idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like you may have had these thoughts for ages. Okay, now they're like solidifying. It's
Yeah, well, that's right. Because I mean, you don't get that full self identity kind of formation until, on average, around the age of 25. Um,
yeah,
but the
exactly.
difficulty that they're having with that is if you actually do properly want to transition, starting that earlier is actually better in the long run for that. And so you get
No,
that like
that's
weird payoff of like, is this certain? But I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I was 16. I think I wanted to be a pot farmer and just like
Yeah, exactly.
do nothing
And
with my life.
well, the transitioning kids, like, you know, in their early teens, in like, 10 years old, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there was this case. When was it? I think it was early last year in Texas. Um, the mother was training her son to be a girl,
Right.
so she would withhold her love or any affection
Yeah.
if he wasn't wearing female clothing,
Oh, beautiful.
and
Yeah.
she would only buy him the toys for girls. She was like trying to condition him to be a girl.
Jeez.
And the father broke up with her, and then they went to court because the mother wanted to start hormone replacement therapy when he was like 10 or something ridiculous. I might be getting the time wrong. It might be earlier.
He was actually 30.
Like and then what? He didn't have a mum and dad, and it was me. No, it was. But anyway, what happened was it actually went to court.
Yeah.
And they had to have a decision like on what was like what you could do, and it was like this big like court case,
Yeah.
and it ended up being both the parents had to consent, which I mean isn't much better because you're just going to get those weird woke parents that are like,
Yeah.
like Mahogany can be whatever she wants.
Not she, they.
Oh,
Whatever
sorry,
they want.
Yeah.
Zim.
Zim.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen like the YouTube of that couple that were doing that over the
Oh, really?
pronouns thing, and they were interchanging he, she, and zim, and just using them all, and like, for me personally, yes, whatever. If you want to do that, that's fine, but don't instill the views that they need to choose to be of a different gender than what they are. Like that case that you were just saying, because that's batshit crazy. Basically, that's.
Well, it takes away the. I mean, there's always parents always push on their kids what they want themselves to do. Like I've enrolled my daughter into jiu-jitsu because I'm like, man, I wish I like did more martial arts when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I wish I'd started younger. I wish I did it longer. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I can see how it does that, but like you can pretty much reverse.
So when's her gender transitioning coming on?
Only trucks. Only cars. Daddy's not gonna love you.
Jeez. So what was the outcome then? So both parents have to make that decision.
Yeah, because it was considered like a health decision. So it was
and the kid?
Well, the kid can't choose for themselves. Like they're not like functionally they're not like able to choose something till they're like 16. I think some rights come in, and then 18, and then some places in America it's like 21.
I mean,
it's like
some kids will just be like, "Nah, I don't want to go through with this. What are you talking about?" And
yeah. But
Mommy
when
and Daddy say.
Yeah, but like say you're 9 or 10.
Yeah, you're pretty programmable.
You're still fairly pliable, and it's just a matter of doctor shopping at that point. It's like, oh, this one said no. Okay, this one said no. Oh, this one is a woke, like, this one understands the program. Like, we can be whatever we want, and my son's going to be a girl. Like, it's
just until they don't want to be anymore. Yeah.
Well, until they end up killing themselves at 25 because they didn't understand what they were doing.
Yeah, and I've lived something that they can't reconcile within their mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's pretty scary stuff at the moment.
Yeah, I just wonder why it's such a hard conversation to have with people. Like, I get there's a cancel culture going on, and everyone wants to have the, like, they want to be on the side of the most woke because if you're not on that, you're basically a jerk. So,
Yeah,
sit on that side. But at the same time, you need a voice of reason and opposition that surely says stop. And
well,
give yourself a chance. Wait a year, have the decision, wait a year, and see if your mind changes at all in that time.
yeah, exactly. Wear dresses,
Yeah,
paint your nails, grow your hair long,
yeah,
like do whatever you want, but like you don't alter the chemistry of your body
yeah,
because you have an idea in your head. So
yeah,
it's it's pretty scary stuff, and
yeah.
it's it is edge cases at the moment, like that one.
Sure, yeah,
That's and you can't really make a trend out of that, but it's like it just yeah, it just
well,
further fuels.
yes and no. I mean, you do end up with that social media platform where any idiot can get a voice.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
and that's and again, the parents are so separated from what their children are absorbing
Yeah,
through social media and online, that they don't necessarily know what's going into the kid every day. I'm getting like so many stories, from my school where the kids just end up with their laptop or their phone, um, and they have it up until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning,
mm,
and I'm just like, where are your parents? Oh, they're in bed. Oh, jeez.
wow, yeah,
Ugh, yeah, stop. Um,
yeah,
I mean,
that's hard.
that just actually scares me. Don't get me wrong. Most teenagers, all they really want to do is have a laugh and look at some memes and whatever. But it does, the way the technology is set up. It is designed to slowly feed new ideas and thoughts into people, that
Yeah,
can shape
and
their overall views.
it's also a dopamine distributor, so it's
Yeah,
like you get that like that hit of dopamine every time someone likes a comment, or hit of dopamine every time someone comments on something,
yeah,
and that makes you have more extreme views than you would, I think, in terms of like because if you can say the words that identify with the group you're trying to fit into,
oh yeah,
you will get accepted by them liking your stuff,
yeah,
and it's like immediately it becomes like this clan sort of thing. And I think the what and what's getting rewarded is the people with the loudest voices, the most extreme views,
yeah,
like the most extreme version of those views,
yeah,
and the and because it's like the more extreme it is, the less people can
yeah.
argue with it almost. It's like because it just gets defended so emotionally.
Yeah, it also carries that sensationalist high that comes out of it,
Yeah,
that, excites people to jump. So it ends up being, yeah, like you said, the person with the loudest voice carries the furthest.
yeah,
Um,
and everyone like sort of latches on, and then
yeah.
those views just get propagated,
Yeah.
and
Well, I mean,
it.
that also seeps into adult, life, because I saw, what is it, a post up about, like the COVID conspiracies,
Mm,
and like, oh my goodness, it's just like that's such a great platform for craziness to come out on, because everyone's scrambling to try and work out what it is and how to,
yeah,
how to
yeah,
combat it. You're getting plenty of like hindsight people, that are going, why did we even do this? It didn't do anything. It's like,
yeah,
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 but you weren't there making the decision at that time, or where was your voice 6 months ago when no one knew what the
yeah,
hell to do?
exactly.
But now that we've like had time alone to mull over this, we can
Yeah,
start talking
exactly.
about how it's like conspiracies, and it's a plot against us by professional bodies who are all corrupt, and they're all just doing it to make money left and right. It's like,
Bill Gates is injecting us with microchips.
yeah, I mean, but but it's just like, why is that still going around, that people are capturing it or like getting on that thing? And it's just people just aren't prepared basically for the level of communication that we're able to have. I just feel like the sane, rational conversations are a little bit out of the window, and I'm finding
Yeah, it's a good point.
what's happening is that it's happening not just for conspiracies but for the negative, like, self-talk stuff as well. So like, you were in the what is it, the rains retreats, right?
Yeah.
So you know what it's like to be on your own for months at a time with just your thoughts in your head. And if you don't have someone programming kindness in there, the negativity can come out pretty strong. And so even though people are, while the lockdown, they were able to communicate with each other through text, it wasn't the same as actually being in a room with someone who can not only like talk back but also read your body language, snap you out of it when you're like, if you're sitting there like this the whole time. No one on a text chat knows anything about that, but the people around you will come up and they'll jostle you, and it's like, hey, stop getting inside your head so much. And so yeah, so that's what was happening a lot with this lockdown, is that self negativity has come into it, and people aren't prepared to deal with their own minds, that the only way they're communicating is through social media, and the social media stuff is in a lot of ways quite toxic, and so
Well,
that
I mean,
you get that
it
negative
goes back.
feedback.
Well, yeah, it goes back to that, like, the loudest person. Like, you need an extreme view to cut through all the noise. Like, you're not gonna get 1,000 likes and a bunch of follows if you go, there's a probability that COVID might, like, cause this amount of death. Like, we've done a study and it's showing that this might be happening.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not gonna, no one cares. It's like, it's either hydroxychloroquine is the cure, or hydroxychloroquine will kill you. It's like, there's...
Yeah, but like, what I'm saying on that...
All the other statements won't work.
Yeah, no, for sure, the sensationalism drives the media, but like, what I'm like moving further on from that is that negativity is something that people then internalize, and they don't have the skill for dealing with that, and because of that sensationalism need, the messages of being kind to yourself, like what Ajahn Brahm will talk about, the kindfulness and stuff, that doesn't get heard as much, because that's just that there's nothing in that. It's like, oh, you should love yourself more, take a moment for you. That means nothing.
No, that's very true. And it is it's exacerbated by the fact that there's a lot of people that are single, living in one-bedroom apartments.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I always said about Melbourne. Like, when Melbourne was going into lockdown a second time, like, man, like, I remember living in Melbourne in a tiny unit, and I mean, it was the whole family, so it was like we were still together. But that would have been hard just if we just had that one room, to be locked down in.
Yeah.
Let alone being locked down by yourself in that one room.
Yeah, that's right. And the only messages you're getting are the loudest sensationalized stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got no one to stop you from going down rabbit holes that are, like, A, completely erroneous, and B, really harmful. But it's...
So you come out, like... but, yeah, I mean, obviously... like, the fix for that, right? It's that sort of mental training that you need to do day in, day out. Like Ajahn Brahm's two-finger happiness technique, which is one I keep telling people all the time. But like that message, just like, even I've got my Instagram feeds with like psychologists and whatever stuff on it, and I gotta admit, whenever I see someone post up one of those messages, I'm just like, I scroll past. I'm just about ready to delete them. Way they're talking about being nice to themselves. I want to see
Yeah.
the one with the like guy jumping off the side of a building to do some parkour stuff, and then land like split leg on something, and he's just, you know, what was that one in Idiocracy about? Ow my balls.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's
Exactly.
like scroll, scroll, scroll. Yes, that one I'll watch.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It is
but
true.
but but when I sit and actually do the work of meditation, being nice to myself and whatnot, like that's when I actually feel good.
Well, it's also it's the difference between like cutting things away and adding things on to your mind. It's the the like Twitter and Facebook and that you're constantly adding things. So you're either watching more channels, you're increasing your feed size, you're increasing your friend pool. Like you're trying to constantly acquire more and more of this stuff.
Yeah,
Whereas when you shut your mind off from the outside world, you're
mm.
constantly pruning things away and trying to get back into some sort of center.
Yeah,
Whereas because and that's what it's just papancha, it's just
mm.
like that sort of proliferation of the mind
Yeah,
is what social media feeds on.
yeah,
It's like it's not enough to just have like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You also have to have TikTok and YouTube and
yeah,
WhatsApp, and it's like
yeah. Yeah, can
and
you
you've got
imagine if I could put a restriction on, say, the Insta feed where you just get one post popping up per day,
yeah,
and
exactly.
that's your feed? It's like, oh, here's one message. Does this actually
But it's
count?
what it used to be. and
Yeah,
but it's like I finally managed to wean myself off Twitter because I was just getting it was just terrible. Like it was really terrible. I could just see it like I was just like a zombie scrolling,
mm.
like scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Try and say something witty. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Try and say something witty, and it's
Yeah,
just yeah,
yeah. It's that
terrible.
short-term dopamine fix, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's
exactly.
it long-term. It's just draining.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's like rewiring the reward systems.
Yeah, it does.
Similar to the way drugs do. It's
Absolutely.
like
Yeah,
it's like a shortcut to pleasure.
yeah,
So it's like your mind, because your brain isn't smart enough to understand the difference between pleasure and dopamine, like actual good pleasure and
yeah,
dopamine. It's like because it's the same thing in your brain. So it's like if you like take some speed or any drug, like it immediately gives you that dopamine hit,
yeah.
and so then your brain goes,
More.
dopamine. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah,
Let's do that again. You obviously did something really well.
yeah,
Because normally to get dopamine, you have to do exercise.
yeah,
You have to accomplish something. You
yeah,
have to like think of something profound. You have to like have something, people praise you for
yeah,
doing something. It's like those are your reward systems normally, and they're slow and they're unreliable, and
yeah.
they don't they don't like they don't guarantee they don't offer a guaranteed hit of pleasure.
No, they're
Whereas
just more.
whereas like these things, it's like you get that instant gratification, but at the same time, as we know, like with drugs, it wears away
Yeah, it's
your ability
diminishing.
to it's like because your body builds up a tolerance.
Yeah, yeah. That's the way I used to put it in the rehab where I worked. It's like your brain basically just builds a storm drain to handle the flood of dopamine that comes through. And
Yeah,
so, like, the
exactly.
normal stuff, like seeing a sunrise or whatever, is just this little trickle, and you just don't feel it
Yeah,
anymore. You're just like numb to it.
yeah,
Give me
and
the
it's the
big
same
flood.
with like, yeah, exactly, and it's the same with like all these online things. It's like you don't get hardly anywhere as much dopamine just walking outside as you do like scrolling through all these like fast flickering move like
Yeah,
visions and sounds. So it's like your brain is just being trained to do that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think Bill Burr said it. He said, what did he say? He said eventually what's going to kill us off is the robots are just going to fuck us to death because we're no longer going to procreate with the opposite sex, so we won't have any babies because we're just going to have like super obedient, super like perfect robots, and then that's going to be the end of us.
yeah. I'd get one.
But you know what I mean, though. It's like
Yeah,
it's the same thing with the internet at the moment.
yeah,
It's like way more rewarding to be on there than it is to be outside or doing something productive.
yeah. Look, this is an example of how deluded people are around that shift in mentality towards the pleasure returns from machinery. I ran a like a thought experiment with them, so just one I found online about the pleasure machine. It's basically a matrix pod, right? You go in, you plug in, but then once you're in, it's a bliss state. That's all it is.
Yes.
It's eternal bliss, but it's a one-way transaction. Once you're in, you're never coming out. Would
Yeah.
you take it? And so, what do you think the answer is from pretty much everyone?
Oh yeah.
No,
No, I
no.
would.
Yeah, I know, but you've experienced a different kind of bliss than what like the normal mundane rewards are, right? Like if it was
Yeah.
just a Twitter feed constantly, you'd just be like, no, God, no, I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
when you experience like a meditative joy, you're like, there's
Yeah.
something better. But for most people, the answer is no,
Yeah.
because all they know is the kind of happiness that comes from the from like that interplay of happiness and suffering.
Yeah.
And so the main argument against it is you won't know any happiness without suffering.
Yeah.
Um, and
But
but
inherent in the question is that you will receive bliss forever.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like that's basically heaven, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what everyone's aiming for? Oh, not for me, thanks.
Side note on heaven.
Huh.
If people really believed that there was a heaven, they would all kill themselves. Well, actually, one person would be, well, there'd be a bunch of people that would sacrifice themselves to kill everyone else to get into heaven.
Oh yeah, right.
Because yeah, I think there's a clause where you're not allowed to
You
kill
can't
yourself.
suicide your way into heaven. Yeah, yeah.
So you're like make the
Well, I
sacrifice.
mean, we just like have a bunch of bombs, right? And we'll just press the button. I don't intend to kill anyone. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah,
Um,
randomly decaying isotopes.
yeah. Um,
No one
but
knows when they're going to go off.
but the funny thing is like about that thought experiment and everyone saying no to that is like look at what they're actually doing. They're slowly more and more plugging into the machine.
Yeah,
It's like because if I was to then say, well, I'm going to take your phone and laptop away from you, no,
yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's like yeah. But
yeah,
if I was to offer you that all the time, oh yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And but then I offer it in the terms of a machine and an actual make the actual choice.
yeah,
No, I don't want that. But when
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
creeping in insidiously through this, it's basically
yeah,
a tech addiction. Yeah, give me it, and give me more. And that's like, it's just that level of delusion people are sitting in that they don't realize what's actually happening to them.
yeah. Well, I often think about that because I think about like we're basically the last generation that didn't have computers when we were kids.
Yeah.
And even I had a computer when I was 6.
Yeah,
Like
gaming
6.
stations would have come in. Game
No,
Boys,
I had like not Game Boy.
Atari.
So you're much younger than me. No, I had like
Oh, yeah.
a Texas Instrument 20 kilobit. Like,
That sounds
like
like a gun.
yeah, exactly. It was like this like giant keyboard with big cartridges that you pushed in, and I remember playing that in my grandfather's house. My uncle bought it, and he brought it to my grandfather's house, and I never stopped playing it for the whole time we were there.
How
Like I
happy would have
remember
your
him.
uncle have been, like, getting the latest tech? You know what I mean? Check out
Oh
this
yeah,
brick.
yeah. He was always the one with the tech. He had the like giant. He had the giant camcorder that fit the whole tape in, like not just the little one. He had the whole thing, and he would walk around like this, like a news reporter.
Yeah, just like so excited to have the latest.
Yeah,
uh,
but
but
yeah,
yeah,
it's just like that. Like, and I think, and we're definitely like at least there's probably. I mean, there's not really another generation after us that are
no,
that
no,
didn't have the internet.
no. I went into the monastery when we still had dial up, and I think I was
Yeah,
like early 20s at that stage, and then came out
yeah,
ADSL was ready. So anyone in like 5, 10 years
yeah,
younger than me than that was they were already on the internet to start with. But
yeah,
then they jumped to a high speed. Facebook came out, YouTube came out, all the
yeah,
iPods and all that stuff came out, and then that just became, and then after that it just accelerated like crazy. So
yeah,
we
yeah.
might get
And
some
so
of the like older millennials, but that's about it.
yeah, so it's interesting that like it's interesting. We're talking about this like in a mostly negative way, in the sense of tech addiction and stuff like that.
Mm.
But there was a similar thing going on with technology with our parents.
Yeah.
But it was like stop playing games, stop like
Stop reading
stop
books.
watching so much, yeah, stop watching TV.
Oh yeah.
And and I always think about that quote from like it was like some Greek philosopher in like 200 BC, where he's like, um, you know, the world's gone to pop like to shit,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like no one
Oh,
talks to each other anymore. Everyone just keeps reading books.
yeah. I can't remember which one. Yeah.
I can't remember the name.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the same sentiment every time we make an
Yeah,
advance in one form of technology or another. It's just like, oh,
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. And like to us, it feels different.
Mm.
Because like, oh no, when we were doing it, it was normal.
Yeah.
But like now, it's different.
Well, I
You
reckon the
know?
next one will be the VR connection. So everyone will just be like with the helmets, and then the
Yeah,
current like Generation Z or whatever is, well, in my day, we were at least
yeah,
only texting each other.
yeah, yeah. I couldn't just like look into your house.
That's right. Yeah.
And like, but then how are you supposed to know if they're home? You
Yes.
can't call them. That's
Yeah.
rude.
I'm just gonna fly a drone by your driveway, right?
Yeah. My drone should be there in a minute. I'm just gonna see if you're home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just plug your USB into that, and yeah.
Yeah. So it's on one side it feels completely like a unique time in history,
Mm.
and on the other end, I just think about this like long trail of history and technology, and
Yeah.
like
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
it's like the loom the Weavers Revolt when the looms came out. Like there was a huge propaganda about like how looms were gonna like end all of the jobs and like
Yeah.
people were gonna be unemployed forever. And the same with like horses and cars. It was like, well, what are all the stablemen gonna do? What are all the muckers gonna do? What's
Yeah.
who are the saddlemen gonna build things for? Like it was like
The BDSM
it's
crowd, apparently.
only the finest wit. But like
Uh,
It's
yeah,
like it's an interesting, like, for me it's interesting juxtaposition between,
yeah, that's a fair point.
like, in our own lives
Mm,
we're transitioning from being kids to full middle-aged adults,
yeah,
and at the same time there's this massive shift in tech,
yeah.
like, and I just wonder if that happens every generation, like.
Yeah, I wonder like what the parents of the boomers were doing when like the boomers were all hooked onto the TV. Were they like, oh, I don't really understand the TV. I'm just gonna sit and read my book, listen to the
I think they
wireless.
were Yeah, I think they were recovering from PTSD from the war.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna be thankful I have a plate full of food.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
killed me
that's
30 Germans.
that's right. The scalps are in my closet.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah, polishing their war memorabilia.
exactly.
He kept that Nazi
And
dagger.
yeah, and it's always that sense of like think about the Enlightenment, and like from back then
Mm,
when like dudes were like mixing chemicals for the first time, really, like serious chemicals, and they were like discovering that there was germs, and I mean that was Hitler, but like, they were discovering like how to split light, and that there was gravity, and like
mm.
all these things are like fundamental shifts of what from the old paradigm to the new, to their paradigm, and it does feel like it's getting faster, like,
Mm,
in terms of like, it's not so much intergenerational as it is like within generations now. You're
yeah.
getting you're getting big shifts. But I just wonder if it's like it's just our time to feel alienated
Yeah, well,
by the norm.
that is the scare because I look at like my parents and grandparents and their ability to navigate tech is just appalling. Like some of them have
Yeah,
a reasonable idea and can keep up all right, but my ability to interact online, especially with like connecting through texting and stuff, is terrible. It's just terrible. I don't.
yeah,
It's not a enjoyable medium for me in any way. But I understand the importance of knowing how it all works.
yeah,
But but to be honest, to be able to have a proper long conversation and be part of an online group, I would struggle. And that's
yeah.
like that's a freak out because it's like the tech, like you're saying, because the tech speed is moving so fast, I could very easily be left way behind on that. And that's like I've seen from within what it does to the detachment for my parents and grandparents from current understanding of what people do
Yeah,
to then what myself
exactly.
would be doing to the next generations.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, that's like how to stay on top of that. And it's like,
Well, I mean, you have to invest enormous time. That's the thing.
yeah, but it's also like it's not just an understanding of the tech yet, it's also a shift in the culture itself.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
like that's something that I'll need to either adapt to. But the problem is like what you're pointing out is that we see a negative view on it. It's like I don't want to be that because I see how destructive it
Yeah,
is on the
yeah,
mind.
exactly.
And so
But but at the same time, our parents saw it as destructive for us.
yeah,
It's like, and their parents saw it as destructive. Like, my mum's from the '60s generation,
yeah,
so it's like she was a hippie.
yeah,
So it's like my grandfather fought in World War II. So it's like, just think about that juxtaposition
yeah, right,
of like, I'm a patriotic American Navy SEAL who like fought and my friends died for the country, and you're smoking weed and taking acid and going to Woodstock,
yeah,
and it's like such a break from
yeah,
the previous generation, and it's like, and it would have been the same for the generation before that.
yeah. So what's your way through then?
Basically there's only two ways through that I can see. You pass the torch and you die, and then the generation,
Yeah.
is the inevitable decay of the parent tree, or you have some sort of technological interface that updates you.
Like my phone.
Yeah, more at the hardware level. So it's like,
Ah, right. Yep. Elon Musk.
because like if my brain can interface with the computer, I will be on the same level as everyone else.
Yeah, right. Do you reckon that's even possible, though?
Yeah, definitely.
You reckon our consciousness can actually shift into a machine
No, I wasn't talking about
processing?
that. I'm talking about interface.
Okay.
I'm talking about interface. So it's like I fully believe we're going to be able to implant memories in Total Recall.
Right.
And
Yeah, I guess.
change people's ideas of themselves and stuff like that. Like that is just like gonna happen. Okay, well let's leave on something completely different. What did you think of the D&D game?
Oh, that was a pretty epic boss battle, for sure.
Oh,
And it was like the nice thing is that there's a good group cohesion. We're looking after each other as players.
I was just saying that before, yeah.
And we're also you're reactive to us. So I don't
Yeah,
feel like it's too heavily story driven. I feel more like you provide the options, we can choose to follow or not. But
yeah,
but the party's starting to actually look after each other, which is good.
yeah,
Yeah, it it helps.
yeah.
'Cause,
No,
yeah, otherwise if there's like people working against each other in the party, it's not gonna last.
no, exactly. And I was kind of hoping someone would hit the lava, but
Uh-huh.
no one did.
Uh
I wanted that sense of like you guys pulling someone out of the lava and like running.
what? Anakin Skywalker
Yeah.
style.
I have the high ground.
No, I think it was. I think that was epic battle enough, to be honest. That thing was just getting pretty good at laying waste to us. If it wasn't for that
Yeah,
hideous laughter spell,
that was awesome. That
I
worked
did.
out so well.
Yeah, I reread that one though. Unfortunately, I think it says when it takes damage, it can make a saving throw at advantage. To
Okay.
end it, but I don't know if that changes the mechanic of when it gets to have its next turn, whether or not it's still prone, because if it was still all of that, yeah, it went normal. We still finished it
No,
off as
no,
normal.
it's still prone.
Yeah.
The way I understand the spell is it literally goes. Its turn is making the saving throw.
Yeah, basically, I think like if it gets hit, it gets an advantage to stop the laughter, but it's still
Yeah.
like that's just the cessation of the spell. It's still in its position of being prone and
Yeah,
the rest of
exactly.
it,
Well, it's definitely prone, but it can't make any other actions, as far as I understand.
yeah, that's right. So yeah, we finished it properly.
Yeah, because otherwise it would be. Otherwise, it would be depending on where you are in the initiative order.
Yeah,
Because it's like it would have its go. You cast hideous laughter, then everyone can go, and then it gets to do its saving throw, and it immediately can fight again.
yeah, right.
As opposed to like, it makes a saving throw. Next person, okay, it stopped laughing. Now
Yeah.
it's gonna fight.
Yeah,
It's like a stun spell. Like
yeah,
once you're not stunned, that you miss that turn.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
No, that was
I could be
pretty,
wrong.
that was pretty epic.
Yeah.
It's pretty epic.
Yeah, I was really hoping to like have him like stand in the doorway and like fight you guys, and the lava's like coming up behind you, but yeah, it ended up being pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was. We had to work hard for it. I think we guzzled all of our healing potions, and like our cleric drut was completely like empty of spells. It was. It
Yeah,
was just
and
this is do or die.
yeah, no, that was cool.
Yeah. If had
Yeah,
there been like another creature in battle with us, it probably would have finished us off.
yeah, that's true, and it's amazing the difference one versus two creatures is.
Yeah.
Like those two dudes that cast the creeping darkness
Yeah.
that you guys were fighting on the way down.
Yeah.
Like just having two actions for myself
Yeah.
was so much like
Yeah.
it just made them so much stronger.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we earned that level up. We earned that level up. It's good.
Yeah, that was cool.
There's still more story, right? Like we're playing again Saturday.
Oh yeah, dude, that was like the two guys that went through the dimension door were like, finish these guys off. I was
Right.
like, it wasn't he wasn't the boss.
All right, good. Yeah, finish that up.
Yeah, you guys are still looking for the alchemist.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So, and yeah, and then this is just like a part of the main story.
Yeah,
So, you guys have got like, once you finish this arc, then you get to like do more stuff
cool. That'll be fun.
up until 20th level.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we can wrap it up. It's 107.
Yeah.
Much better internet connection, which is good.
Yeah, no, it actually held out, and we actually had an interesting conversation of like,
Yeah.
we got to
Well,
the
no,
more
we
interesting-
always have interesting conversations, Simon.
Yeah, don't watch our first one.
We were both sleeping after like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was just terrible.
Yeah, just two times at just double speed.
I'll do a highlight reel, get through it in a minute.
Yeah.
So that's all you need.
Yeah, well, all the fan, like the super podcast, they have a clip
Yeah.
channel of what we can put like 5-minute videos in there with like.
Is it alright if I edit
thought-
you out of that and I just have it focused on stuff I say and like me?
Yeah, man,
Like,
just
highlights of-
put me like.
Yeah. Yeah. Do a couple of like soundbite or things with me like, that's amazing. Oh dear. Alright, I'll catch
Okay.
you next week.
Yep.
Hopefully.
See you later.
See y'all.